the CSX Scottslawn Secondary, arguably one of the most convenient lines for me to railfan on and catch trains, and this video certainly supports that philosophy. Hello again, rail fans, and welcome back to another video. We begin this journey on April 27th, 2021, and we are along the Scottslawn Secondary in Amelin, Ohio. Amelin, Ohio is a small square-mile suburb that's in between Dublin and Hilliard. The particular reason why we are here is because we were doing our typical drive around Columbus looking for some trains. On our way home, I noticed some headlights approaching from the east. Knowing that Avery Road was not a particularly good place to turn around and see the train, we decided to go over to Amelin to see if we can catch the train. As it turned out, we got to Amelin with time to spare before the train even got there, which ended up being CSX Q311, the daily mixed freight out of Russell, Kentucky bound for Avon, Indiana, doing track speed along this line. After seeing the Q311, we then move forward several days to May 3rd, 2021. We are still along the Scottslawn Secondary, but at a different location, which was the Leap Road Railroad Crossing. On this particular day, we had a different goal in mind, to catch CSX Q147, the daily stack train that originates at a Buckeye Yard and heads for North Baltimore, Ohio. The wait for Q147 didn't last very long because here he is coming off of the yard lead onto the Scottslawn Secondary heading for North Baltimore, with a YN3B painted ES40DC leading the way. As the sun continues its descent into the western sky, I knew Q146, which is Q147's counterpart train, had to be near Willis Siding or just before it because dispatch wanted the two trains to meet there. Willis Siding is several miles west of our current location. As it makes its approach here, I would like to take note that two river crossings along this line, being this one and Davidson Road, they are within a quiet zone, so when trains pass these river crossings, they don't blow their horns. With an overcast, dark sky above us, CSX Q146 makes its way past the Leap Road Railroad Crossing, originating out of North Baltimore and making the final miles to Buckeye Yard. He was doing every bit of track speed, even though the yard lead is several thousand feet east of our location. After seeing the two intermodal trains, we then moved to just over a week later on May 11th, 2021, and we returned to the Leap Road Railroad crossing with the same goal in mind, to catch CSX Q147 as it makes its way to North Baltimore. But unlike last week, things took a slightly different approach this time around. We sat at the Leap Road Railroad crossing for about an hour and a half, and we saw no sign of Q147, even though we saw its locomotives building its train several hours earlier. And as we were leaving, we saw some headlights approaching from the west, so we quickly made our way back to the Leap Road Railroad crossing to catch the train. The mystery train in question was, to my surprise, Q146, as it makes its way towards Buckeye Yard, considering the fact that Q147 hasn't left yet. Since Q147 leaves first and 146 comes in second, and the arrangements that dispatch took to get 146 into Buckeye around 147, it became clear to me that CSX made a big whoopsie getting these trains together. After unexpectedly catching Q146 once again, we then moved several days later onto May 14th, 2021, and we are at CP Kyle along the Scottslawn Secondary at milepost 117. The goal on this particular day was to catch CSX Q311 as it makes its way towards Avon, Indiana. As Q311 made its approach on CP Kyle, its consist revealed that this Avon-bound mixed freight was one of the most interesting trains in the area that day. Yep, you just saw it right there for yourself. A CSX C40-9W was leading Q311 on this day. CSX has recently reactivated a small handful of their Dash 8s as well as Dash 9s, which included the number 9047. But despite the triumphant return to service, these old soldiers still have a limited amount of time left in service, which includes these Dash 9s and their Dash 8 cousins. After catching the Dash 9, we then moved to the very next day on May 15th, 2021, and we once again find ourselves at CP Kyle along the Scottslawn Secondary. On this particular day, CSX's #1 locomotive, the Spirit of West Virginia, along with ST70AH 8903, have found their way back into Columbus once again. The dynamic duo of locomotives came in on the previous night on the head of Q146, the nightly stack train that comes out of North Baltimore for Columbus. And on this particular day, it was time for them to go back to North Baltimore on the head of Q147. But unlike last time when we caught these two locomotives, the ST70AH was leading this time around. It didn't take Q147 very long to leave Buckeye, but for reasons unknown, once he got to the south end of Kyle's siding, which is just behind me, he was crawling, probably doing only 15 miles an hour. But he still got here with decent lighting, and that's what matters. Pretty much just a pull out your phone and shoot it sort of a case right here. After seeing the Q147 with the dynamic duo, we then moved to the very next day on May 16th, 2021. And as we were doing our drive around Central Ohio looking for some trains, we saw headlights of a westbound train on the Scottslawn Secondary. We turned around at Hayden Run and got stopped by what would appear to be a westbound empty grain train on this line. After seeing the grain train, we then moved to May 25th, 2021, and we are once again back at CP Kyle along the Scottslawn Secondary. And as per usual, we came out for the nightly CSX Q147. On this particular day, dispatch sent Q147 into the siding here at CP Kyle because they wanted to meet both intermodal trains here, Q147 and Q146. Soon after we arrived, CSX Q147 slowly makes his way towards the south end of Kyle's siding, which is just behind the camera here. He was put into the siding because eastbound trains here on this line have higher priority. As the train continued to slowly make its way into Kyle siding, we find that the train was DPU equipped. A rather fresh CM44AH rebuild was pushing on the back of the train. A good chunk of time has passed since Q147's DPU went into the siding before we saw the headlights of the opposing Q146. Now, for some reason, dispatch put the responsibility of resetting the switch on Q146. Not sure why Q147's crew couldn't have done that, but railroads are railroads and they do whatever they want. After the switch was reset, Q146 continued on its journey towards Buckeye Yard. Although we would only stay for the locomotives, and after they passed we decided to break off because we lost most of our light. Right after we broke off from Q146, this will now conclude yet another video. Hit the like button down below, leave a comment and tell me what you think of it, subscribe to my channel, and tap the bell button to be notified when I get a new video out. This is All Ohio Railfan, signing out.